Hello, today we're going to be going over the frame design tool. This should come in handy for really building any kind of table or frame, or you'll find lots of applications for it. To start off, what we do is we need to create the skeleton of the frame, and we'll do that by creating a new part. Now, for creating the skeleton of this, really all we need is some edges to click on. So we could do that by making a 3D sketch. We could do that by using surfaces instead of a solid. But really, the easiest thing to do is just to create a solid. So I start a sketch on this plane. For this demonstration, we're going to do a 2 by 2 by 3 foot table. So click here, and we got 36 by 24, and finish sketch and extrude. Make that 24 inches tall. Okay, so that is the basic layout of what we want our frame to look like. And I'll just repeat this again. It doesn't have to be a solid. That's an easy way to do it. So I'll save this. I'll put it in my training folder. This is a folder that I would then make. I already had this folder made, but you'd make a folder to put your frame in, and then go into it, and then we'll just call this the table box. Let's save it. Now we make an assembly, and in this assembly we place the table box that we just made. Alternatively, you could have just created the box in the assembly environment. It would have worked just fine. So now we go to design, and we say insert frame. It asks, do we want to save the assembly? We'll say yes. I'll call it the training table assembly. And now we can bring up different profiles that we want. These 80/20 ones are some custom ones that I made. That hopefully I will have the time to show you how to import some 80/20 profiles. But for this one, we're just going to use square tube steel. So we have a square there. We have to select our member size. We're going to do a 2 by 2 inch, and we'll use mild steel. And perfect. Now all I have to do is start selecting sides. So select that side. You'll notice that it's selected through the beam. The tube is lined up through the middle. The middle of the tube is lined up with the axis that I clicked on. And that's what this point right here is pointing on. So all I have to do is I want to go through this point right here. So I click up here, and it moves it to the orientation that I want. And I'll just say apply. First, it's asking me to save this frame. I want to rename this frame just table, or table frame. And it's the table frame file that we'd actually be using inside another assembly. Okay, it's asking us to save the actual beam that we just made. We say OK, and you can see it insert that beam inside the part. So once we make the box invisible, we'll be able to see it better. And then I just do it for everywhere that I want the frame to be. just hitting the enter button. Oops. Alright, that looks good for now. So we will say, we'll just finish it right there. And now, right click on this, click on visibility, and now we have our frame there. You'll notice that they are all overlapping like this, so we can clean that up in a few different ways. We can use a trim to frame. You notice right here, the blue one, so we select the blue member first, so that's the member that we're trimming to, and then we'll select the yellow one, which is the member we're trimming. So click that one and this one, apply, and did it right. Do it again here. Except, now I'm remembering Rex telling me that from a welder's perspective it's better to do it like this. Now it's, one moment. Alright, so that error came up because I had trimmed this this member to this member right here, but then I tried trimming this member to this member, and it didn't like that I was using a member that I had trimmed to this member and then tried trimming that member. It's a little finicky sometimes, so the way to get around that is we click on this member first and then this one, apply, and then like that. No error message when we do it that way. Try that again. Okay. Perfect. Alright, so now our frame looks like we want. We have everything trimmed up the way we want. So let's say now I want to put some legs under here. Let's make it so our table box is visible again. And now I want to add some members down here. I'm going to put a miter joint on them. You can only do one at a time though. Okay, so going back to that. Now if I want to put a miter connection between these two, I just do this, click on both the members, apply, and now we have a miter joint there. Perfect. Okay, and now let's say I want to add another cross member in between right there, but on the box there's nothing there that I can use. So I could either edit it in this environment, or I could go back to this open file and just edit it right here. I'm going to do kind of shortcut this a little bit, so I'm going to make a plane through the middle of this up 6 inches. Then I draw on this plane. I'll use project geometry. So now if I was to cut this, you can see now it's just drawn that box around it for me. Okay, I'll save that, go back over here, and now I can see that sketch just fine. So I can, my 10-minute limit imposed by my screen recorder just ended. So here's the part 2 video. So I click insert frame, and now I can click on this line right here and change it to the orientation that I want. And do the same over here. Perfect. Make it invisible again, and then we'll just trim these. And you might find that the trim/extend command works better in your case. We'll try using that for this one. So click here, then you actually have to click on the button again, and then click on the face you want to trim to. Do the same over here. So as you can tell, it goes a little bit slower, so I like to use the trim to frame when possible. Okay, and that's it. That's basically everything there is to the frame the frame creating tool. What we would do now, we save this. We can say yes to all and then OK. So now if we're wanting to use this inside an assembly, so I would start a new assembly for whatever workstation I'm wanting to make, and then to place you're not going to place the training table assembly or the table box, but a new folder was made for the training table assembly. So when I save this, it automatically made this folder right here, and then inside that folder, frame. Now in this folder we can see table frame. That's the frame that I actually want to use. Skeleton, or skeleton 0001, that is basically a replica of the table box that we made, except it's converted it to a skeleton. And then each of these are the different members that we placed. So I would insert the table frame. Say OK, right there. And here it is right here. So we have our whole table frame. We can make cuts to that, or do whatever we need from this environment. Or we can even, if we need to add holes to the table, we could even do that in this environment. So this is the one that includes the skeleton, and this one does not contain a skeleton. It basically just acts as a part. So this is the one that you would insert into your assembly file. And that is all we're going to do for today.